Hello, hi there, welcome back. How are you? We're going to continue with our lesson Physics grade 7. Before we move on, the last time I think we stop at page 135. We're going to continue from here. The summary question as usual. Let's tackle them together so that we move on. So you can see very clearly the first one we have to match, and you can see the matching very clearly. Then the second one is to describe how satellite get into orbit. How satellite get into orbit, okay? So for satellite to get into orbit, the engineers needed to launch it to the right height and then fire it at the right speed. And then the force of gravity will keep it in orbit, okay? Good. Now if you come to this very page, I have highlighted it for you. From here, okay, up to this portion, this is where you can find the answer as far as what question 2 is concerned. Good. Then we come to question 3. If you come to question 3, compare geostationary satellite and satellite in low Earth orbit. Okay, that is also very easy. So this is the geostationary and this is the low Earth orbit. Okay, you can easily look at it, and then the comparison is simply 8 differences between them. It is not anything difficult. Good. Now let's continue to look at what you mean by mission to the moon. Mission to the moon, okay? With respect to this very lesson, let's look at the objective at stake. To be able to describe some of the risk, okay, and benefit of the space program, okay? So mission to the moon is simply, it is what? It is about space program. Okay, when we talk about space program, it means what we call, we have what we call Apollo mission. The Apollo mission, okay? The Apollo mission. The Apollo mission simply means it is the program that has been set aside, okay, mostly by the Americans, okay, to simply send people to the moon. To send people to the moon, okay? It's not anything so difficult for you to understand, okay? So this is what we mean about the Apollo mission. So basically, we are going to look at the Apollo mission. What are some of the risks involved? When we talk of the risk, it means the dangers as far as what such mission is concerned. Going into the moon, okay? What are some of the dangers that one may come across? And this is what we call the risk. So if you look at this very level, we said there are a lot of risk when you go into the space. There are a lot of risk when you go into the space. One, what are the risks that you can find, or the risk that may occur? The first one, equipment can be damaged and people can get injured. Equipment can damage and people can get injured, okay? So in other words, we can say the parachute, the spacecraft that is being used, the spacecraft that is going to be used, okay, something can happen to it because it's a machine. Something can happen to it, and if something happens to it, people can get injured, or to a large extent, people can die. Okay, good. Now let's look at some of the risk assessment. What we mean by risk assessment? When we talk of risk assessment, we are basically saying that when you are going to embark on something dangerous, you have to think positive and then at the same time think negative. You have to think positive and at the same time think negative. What are the negative things that you have to think? That is the most important, okay? So what are the assessments? So you have to assess. It means you need to measure the risk. This is what you mean by what? Risk assessment. What are they? The first one is what you need to look at the fact that the probability that something will happen. The probability that something will happen, and then what will be the consequence if it happens. If this happens, what will be the result of it? Okay, good. Then you also do your best to look at how you can reduce the probability. How can you reduce the probability? Having looked at how you can reduce the probability, and then you also look at how you can change the result, how you can change the result. Of course, if there is what, if you look at the probability that this can happen, okay, if this can happen, how can we solve it? Okay, if this can happen, how can we solve it? Because if this happen, this will also happen. And if that happen, how can we prevent that happening? Or if we can prevent it, how can we reduce it? Okay, so that it will never be fatal, or it will never be something that will involve death. If it will be even a mere injury, then it could be accepted that way. Okay, so basically this is what you mean by what? Risk assessment. Good. So these are the risk that can happen, and then these are the risk assessment that you have to do before you embark on such mission, okay, or such an Apollo mission. Good. Then we come to what we mean by risk business. We come to what we mean by risk business. What do you mean by what? Risk business. It means the risk business is what? The risk that could happen. Okay, the risk that are involved in terms of this very mission. The first one is what? The taking off of the spacecraft. The taking of the spacecraft is the first risk. It is the first risk. That's why I've underlined it over here. Okay, so you can see that I have numbered them for you to see. The first risk is what? The taking off of the spacecraft. So if you read it, you can You can find it. Then we come to the second one is what? The landing back on the Earth. It is also what? It is also a risk business. It is also a risk business. Then we have what we call the danger from the sun, which is called the solar flare. There is also the danger from the sun, because remember you are going to the moon, and the moon is also facing the sun. Therefore, there is also what we call the solar flare, which has a very high risk, okay, very high risk for that matter, which could also cause a very serious damage to the individual. So these are the risk business in terms of what? In terms of the release of the spacecraft when embarking on the Apollo mission. Good. That notwithstanding, this very mission on the moon, okay, or the space program, if you could call it that way, they also have some benefit, okay? They also have some benefit. And what are these benefits? These are the benefit of it, okay? One, the fact that the liquid cool suit, okay, there is a suit that has been made, and it is all as a result of what? This very spacecraft business. Okay, if you read it, you can get and then we also have these ones, okay, the computer program by what? But swiping credits card, blah 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 blah. This is all as a result of what? Apollo mission. Then we have these very nice sneakers, okay, if you read it, you can find it. And then we have this one, which of course you also are aware of this. Then you come to this one, the baby milk formulas. These are all the benefit as far as the space program, which we call the mission to the Earth, or Apollo mission is what is concerned. So these are the benefit as far as what this very Apollo mission is concerned. So it is not only the risk, because they took the risk to make sure all these things are what beneficial to human. So basically, this is it as far as what this very lesson. It's very short lesson. It's not anything so difficult. Good. So this is all about it. You can read this portion too. Okay, it's very interesting stuff. You can read it so that just for an additional information as far as what the space program is concerned. Then don't forget to also look at the summary question. When we meet another time, inshallah, we shall look at what the summary question, just like we used to do. As always, we shall solve them together, and then you compare your answers together with mine, and then you see how best you've gone. Good. So we shall stop here, and inshallah we shall meet another time. Have a nice day, and I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. Stay blessed as usual. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.